On the night of July 10th, 1856, a violent thunderstorm swept across the small village of Smiljan in what was then the Austrian Empire. As lightning illuminated the sky, a baby boy was born. According to family legend, a midwife called the storm a bad omen. His mother quietly replied, "No, he will be a child of light." His name was Nikola Tesla. Nikola grew up in a household where intellect and creativity were part of everyday life. His father, Milutin Tesla, was a respected Serbian Orthodox priest and gifted writer. His mother, Georgina, never received a formal education, yet she possessed remarkable mechanical talent, inventing practical household tools with extraordinary skill. From both parents, Nikola inherited a rare combination of imagination and discipline. From an early age, Nikola saw the world differently. He was fascinated by nature, machines, rivers, and the invisible forces around him. While other children spent their days playing, Nikola constantly asked questions about how things worked. His endless curiosity would become the foundation of every invention that followed. One afternoon, while stroking the family's black cat, Nikola noticed tiny blue sparks dancing across its fur. The strange glow filled him with wonder. He asked his father what caused the mysterious light, but no simple answer could satisfy him. That single childhood moment sparked a lifelong obsession with electricity. Unlike most people, Nikola possessed an extraordinary photographic memory. He could visualize entire machines inside his mind, rotating every gear and testing every moving part without ever touching a tool. Long before building his inventions, he perfected them in his imagination. As Nikola entered school, his exceptional intelligence quickly became impossible to ignore. Mathematics, physics, and languages came naturally to him. He often solved complex problems entirely in his head, astonishing both his teachers and classmates with abilities that seemed almost unbelievable. When Nikola was only 5 years old, tragedy struck the Tesla family. His older brother, Dane, died in a horse-riding accident. The devastating loss left a permanent scar on the family, and young Nikola grew up carrying the weight of expectations that once belonged to his brother. As he grew older, Nikola became determined to dedicate his life to science and engineering. He dreamed of unlocking the hidden power of electricity, not simply to build machines, but to improve the lives of millions. That dream would soon lead him far from his quiet village and toward a future that would change the world forever.
In 1875, 19-year-old Nikola Tesla arrived at the Austrian Polytechnic in Graz, one of the most prestigious engineering schools in Europe. It was here that his extraordinary intellect would truly begin to flourish. Surrounded by some of the brightest young minds of his generation, Tesla was determined to become the finest engineer he could possibly be. Tesla's dedication quickly became legendary. While many students struggled to keep pace with demanding coursework, he attended every lecture, studied for countless hours, and absorbed information with astonishing speed. Professors admired his brilliance, and classmates soon realized they were witnessing a mind unlike any they had ever encountered. Everything changed the day Tesla was introduced to the Gramme dynamo, one of the most advanced electrical machines of its time. As his professor demonstrated the motor, Tesla noticed something others overlooked: the inefficient commutator that constantly produced sparks and wasted energy. Almost instantly, he began imagining a completely different way to generate motion. When Tesla suggested that a motor could one day operate without a commutator, his professor dismissed the idea as impossible. Some students quietly laughed at the bold young engineer, but Tesla remained calm. He wasn't trying to win an argument. He had already seen the solution in his mind. Determined to prove himself, Tesla devoted nearly every waking hour to his studies. He spent long nights alone in the library, surrounded by textbooks, equations, and scientific journals. While others rested, Tesla continued learning, convinced that every page brought him closer to understanding the hidden laws of electricity. His relentless work soon produced remarkable results. Tesla earned exceptional grades across nearly every subject and developed a reputation for solving mathematical problems entirely in his head. To many professors, he appeared destined for an extraordinary scientific career. Yet even the brightest minds are not immune to temptation. In his years in Graz, Tesla developed an obsession with gambling. What began as an occasional distraction gradually consumed more of his time and attention, threatening everything he had worked so hard to achieve. Eventually, Tesla's luck ran out. He lost his savings, his tuition money, and much of the confidence he had built during his studies. It was a painful lesson, one that forced him to confront failure for the very first time. The experience would leave a lasting mark on his character. Without completing his degree, Tesla quietly left Graz in 1878. The promising young student departed with no diploma and an uncertain future. To many, it appeared that his remarkable potential had been wasted, but history was about to tell a very different story. Tesla traveled to Maribor, hoping to rebuild his life and find meaningful work. Though his future was uncertain, one thing had not changed: his unwavering belief that electricity held the key to transforming the modern world. The setbacks of Graz had not broken his spirit, they had only strengthened his resolve. Life would soon test Tesla in ways he could never have imagined. Personal tragedy, financial hardship, and emotional exhaustion would push him to his limits. Yet from one quiet walk through a city park would emerge an idea so revolutionary that it would forever change the history of electricity. In 1879, Tesla returned to his family home in Gospic, carrying more disappointment than achievement. He had left one of Europe's finest engineering schools without a degree and without a clear direction. Yet behind his quiet demeanor, the same relentless curiosity still burned. He refused to believe that his journey had reached its end. Only months after Nikola returned home, tragedy struck once again. His father, Milutin Tesla, passed away after a brief illness. The loss deeply affected the young inventor. Beyond the grief, it marked the end of a chapter in his life and the beginning of one in which he would have to rely entirely on himself. Determined to continue his education, Tesla traveled to Prague in 1880, hoping to attend Charles Ferdinand University. Although financial circumstances prevented him from enrolling as a regular student, he continued studying independently, immersing himself in physics, mathematics, and engineering whenever opportunities arose. In 1881, Tesla moved to Budapest, where Europe was rapidly embracing modern communication technology. He accepted a position at the Budapest Telephone Exchange, a growing enterprise that offered him something he valued above all else: the opportunity to work directly with electrical systems. Tesla's exceptional abilities quickly earned the respect of his colleagues.
He improved the performance of telephone equipment, refined technical designs, and developed practical solutions to complex engineering problems. His reputation as a brilliant young engineer began spreading beyond the walls of the telephone exchange. But brilliance often came at a cost. Tesla worked with relentless intensity, frequently neglecting rest as he pursued new ideas. The constant pressure eventually led to physical exhaustion and severe mental strain. For a time, even ordinary sounds and flashes of light became almost unbearable. As Tesla slowly recovered, he often took long walks through Budapest's city park with his close friend Antoni Szigeti. One quiet afternoon in early 1882, their conversation turned to science, philosophy, and the mysteries of nature. Neither of them realized that history was about to change. Suddenly, inspiration struck. As the setting sun cast long shadows across the park, Tesla saw the complete solution unfold in his mind. He imagined a rotating magnetic field capable of producing motion without brushes or commutators. Grabbing a stick, he sketched the design directly into the sand. It was one of the greatest moments of insight in scientific history. Back at his workshop, Tesla transformed the vision into detailed engineering drawings. For the first time, he could clearly describe a practical alternating current induction machine, a machine that would eventually revolutionize electrical power generation around the world. What others considered impossible was now becoming reality. Later that year, Tesla accepted an opportunity to work in Paris for the Continental Edison Company. Leaving Budapest behind, he carried little more than a suitcase, his notebooks, and a revolutionary idea that existed only on paper. His next chapter of life would take him to the very center of the world's electrical revolution. Paris introduced Tesla to large-scale electrical engineering, but his greatest challenge still lay across the Atlantic. A single recommendation letter would soon carry him to New York City, where he would meet the most famous inventor in America and begin one of history's greatest technological rivalries. When Tesla arrived in Paris in 1882, he joined the Continental Edison Company, where he worked on electrical systems across Europe. It was his first opportunity to apply his engineering talent on an industrial scale. Day after day, he repaired generators, improved equipment, and gained invaluable experience that would shape his future. Tesla's remarkable ability to diagnose and solve complex electrical problems quickly set him apart. He traveled from city to city, restoring malfunctioning power stations and improving direct current systems. Wherever he went, managers praised his precision, his discipline, and his seemingly effortless understanding of electricity. In 1883, Tesla was sent to Strasbourg to repair a damaged electrical installation after a serious accident. The project demanded long hours and meticulous work, but once again, he delivered results. His success reinforced a growing belief among his colleagues that Tesla was one of the most gifted electrical engineers of his generation. During quiet evenings in Strasbourg, Tesla continued thinking about the revolutionary idea that had first appeared in Budapest. Using spare materials and simple tools, he began building the earliest experimental version of his alternating current motor. Though still incomplete, the concept was becoming more real with every passing day. After completing the Strasbourg project, Tesla expected to receive the financial reward he had been promised. Instead, the payment never came. The disappointment was profound. Once again, his hard work had been recognized, but not rewarded.
It was a lesson he would remember for the rest of his life. Despite the setback, Tesla's extraordinary talent had not gone unnoticed. Charles Batchelor, one of Thomas Edison's most trusted associates, believed the young engineer belonged in America. Before Tesla departed, Batchelor wrote a recommendation that would become legendary. It reportedly ended with a remarkable sentence: "I know two great men. One is you, the other is this young man." In the summer of 1884, Tesla boarded a steamship bound for New York. His possessions were few: a suitcase, a handful of personal belongings, several engineering notes, and Batchelor's recommendation. But in his mind, he carried something far more valuable: a vision of a world powered by alternating current. As the ship entered New York Harbor, Tesla gazed upon one of the fastest-growing cities on Earth. Towering buildings, crowded docks, and endless opportunities stretched before him. He had arrived in America with almost nothing, but within a few years, his ideas would challenge the most powerful inventor in the nation. Only hours after arriving in New York, Tesla went directly to meet Thomas Edison. At first, the two men seemed destined to achieve great things together. But beneath their shared passion for electricity lay two completely different visions of the future, visions that would soon collide in one of the greatest rivalries in the history of science. Soon after arriving in New York, Tesla was introduced to Thomas Edison, America's most celebrated inventor. Edison had built his reputation on direct current, or DC, and he immediately recognized Tesla's remarkable engineering abilities. The young immigrant was hired almost at once, stepping into the heart of America's rapidly growing electrical industry. Edison Machine Works was unlike anything Tesla had ever experienced. The factory buzzed day and night with the sound of steam engines, rotating dynamos, and hundreds of workers racing to electrify the nation. For Tesla, it was the perfect place to prove his talent under the most demanding conditions imaginable. Tesla quickly became known for his relentless work ethic. He often labored late into the night, repairing generators, redesigning electrical equipment, and solving problems that had frustrated experienced engineers for months. To him, every challenge was simply another puzzle waiting to be solved. Time and again, Tesla improved the performance of Edison's electrical systems. His innovative designs increased efficiency and reduced costly breakdowns, earning admiration from fellow engineers throughout the company. Yet, despite his growing reputation, Tesla's most revolutionary ideas remained very different from Edison's vision. According to Tesla's later account, Edison offered him an enormous reward if he could redesign the company's inefficient generators. It was a daunting challenge, but Tesla accepted without hesitation. For weeks, he devoted himself entirely to the project, determined to exceed every expectation. When the work was finally completed, Tesla expected the promised reward. Instead, Edison reportedly laughed and dismissed the offer as an American joke. Whether remembered exactly as it happened or not, the incident became a defining moment in Tesla's life. Deeply disappointed, he realized their differences extended far beyond engineering. Rather than compromise his principles, Tesla made the difficult decision to resign. He left Edison Machine Works with no financial security and no guarantee of future success. Many would have considered the decision reckless. Tesla believed it was necessary if he was ever going to bring his own ideas to life. Without steady employment, Tesla accepted manual labor to survive, digging ditches for just a few dollars a day. It was a humbling experience for a brilliant engineer whose ideas were years ahead of their time.
Yet, even while working beneath the streets of New York, he never abandoned his dream of building a better electrical system. For a brief moment, it seemed Nikola Tesla had lost everything. But sometimes history changes when opportunity meets perseverance. A chance meeting with a group of investors would give Tesla the support he desperately needed and allow him to introduce a technology that would challenge the very foundation of Edison's electrical empire.
In 1886, fortune finally turned in Tesla's favor. Two investors, Alfred S. Brown and Charles Feck, recognized the extraordinary potential of his ideas and agreed to support his work. For the first time since leaving Edison, Tesla had the financial backing to pursue his vision without compromise. With new funding, Tesla established the Tesla Electric Company and opened his own laboratory in New York. Surrounded by blueprints, copper coils, and experimental machinery, he finally had the freedom to transform years of imagination into reality. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one driven entirely by innovation. Inside his laboratory, Tesla perfected the alternating current induction motor he had first envisioned years earlier in a Budapest park. Unlike traditional DC motors, his design required no commutator, making it simpler, more efficient, and far more reliable. It was a breakthrough that would redefine electrical engineering. Tesla carefully documented every detail of his revolutionary designs before filing a series of patents. These drawings represented more than mechanical inventions. They described an entirely new electrical system capable of transmitting power over long distances with unprecedented efficiency. The future of electricity had finally been put on paper. In May 1888, Tesla presented his alternating current system before the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. His lecture captivated the audience. Engineers who had spent years working with direct current suddenly witnessed a more powerful and elegant solution. The scientific community immediately recognized the significance of his work. Among those impressed by Tesla's presentation was industrialist George Westinghouse. Unlike many others, Westinghouse understood that alternating current could transform the electrical industry. He saw not only an invention, but the foundation of a nationwide power system. Westinghouse acquired the rights to Tesla's patents and invited him to help develop practical alternating current systems. Their partnership combined Tesla's visionary engineering with Westinghouse's manufacturing experience and business leadership. Together, they were preparing to challenge the dominance of Edison's direct current network. By the end of 1888, two competing visions of electricity stood face to face. Edison fiercely defended direct current, while Tesla and Westinghouse championed alternating current. Newspapers, public demonstrations, and fierce business competition soon turned the debate into what history would remember as the War of Currents, a battle that would determine how the modern world would be powered. The struggle had only just begun. As criticism and competition intensified, Tesla refused to retreat. Instead, he pushed electricity to levels the world had never imagined, creating spectacular demonstrations that earned him a new nickname, the Master of Lightning. By 1889, Tesla had returned to his laboratory with a single goal: to explore the true potential of alternating current. While others focused on commercial applications, Tesla looked far beyond the present. He believed electricity still held secrets that humanity had only begun to discover. In 1891, Tesla introduced one of his most famous inventions, the Tesla Coil.
Capable of producing extremely high voltages and high-frequency currents, it generated spectacular arcs of electricity unlike anything the public had ever seen. More importantly, the device became a foundation for future developments in radio technology, wireless communication, and high-frequency electronics. 2 years later, Tesla and Westinghouse achieved a stunning victory at the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. Using alternating current, they illuminated thousands of electric lights across the fairgrounds, transforming the night into brilliant daylight. Before millions of visitors, alternating current proved it could safely and efficiently power an entire city. The success in Chicago led to an even greater challenge. Tesla's alternating current system was selected to harness the immense power of Niagara Falls, one of the most ambitious engineering projects of the 19th century. It was more than a construction project. It was a demonstration that nature itself could become a source of electricity for entire communities. In 1896, the generators at Niagara Falls began delivering electricity to Buffalo, New York, more than 20 miles away. It was a historic achievement that confirmed alternating current could transmit power over long distances efficiently and reliably. The debate that had once divided engineers was rapidly becoming settled by real-world success. Never content with a single breakthrough, Tesla unveiled another astonishing invention in 1898, a radio-controlled boat. As spectators watched the small vessel respond to invisible commands, many believed it was some kind of trick. Few realized they were witnessing one of the earliest demonstrations of remote control, a technology that would eventually influence robotics, drones, and autonomous systems. The following year, Tesla established an experimental station in Colorado Springs to investigate high-voltage electricity on an unprecedented scale. There, he generated enormous electrical discharges that lit the night sky and echoed like thunder across the plains. To observers, it seemed as though he had learned to command lightning itself. Amid the crackling energy of his Colorado laboratory, Tesla looked beyond motors and power stations. He imagined a future where information, communication, and perhaps even electricity itself could travel across the planet without wires. To many, the idea sounded impossible. To Tesla, it was simply the next step. Colorado Springs convinced Tesla that his greatest dream was within reach. Returning to New York, he set out to build a machine unlike anything the world had ever seen, a tower designed not just to transmit messages across oceans, but to connect the entire planet through the invisible power of electricity.
Returning from Colorado Springs in 1900, Tesla believed he was closer than ever to achieving his ultimate goal. He envisioned a worldwide system capable of transmitting information instantly across continents and perhaps one day delivering electrical power without wires. It was an idea so ambitious that even many of his supporters struggled to imagine it. To turn his vision into reality, Tesla sought the backing of one of America's most powerful financiers, J.P. Morgan. After presenting his plans, Morgan agreed to invest in the project. With funding secured, Tesla believed he finally had the opportunity to build the invention that would surpass everything he had accomplished before. Construction soon began on Long Island. Rising high above the surrounding landscape, Wardenclyffe Tower was unlike any structure ever built. To the public, it looked mysterious. To Tesla, it was the first step toward a globally connected world where distance would no longer limit communication.
Inside the Wardenclyffe laboratory, Tesla worked tirelessly, refining his designs and expanding his vision. He imagined a future where people could exchange messages across oceans instantly, share information worldwide, and access electrical power more freely than ever before. Decades before the digital age, Tesla was already thinking on a global scale. Then, unexpected news changed everything. In 1901, Marconi successfully transmitted a wireless signal across the Atlantic. Although Tesla believed his own technology was more advanced, public attention shifted almost overnight. Investors began questioning whether Wardenclyffe was still worth supporting. As costs continued to rise, Morgan declined to provide additional funding. Without financial support, construction slowed to a halt. Workers left the site, equipment remained unfinished, and Tesla watched years of planning begin to unravel. The project that was meant to redefine the future now stood suspended in uncertainty. Wardenclyffe Tower remained standing, but its promise slowly faded. The laboratory grew quieter, and the ambitious dream that had once inspired so much optimism became increasingly isolated. Tesla refused to abandon his ideas, yet he knew the world was moving in a different direction. By 1905, Wardenclyffe had effectively come to a standstill. Tesla left behind an unfinished tower, unpaid debts, and a vision the world was not yet ready to embrace. Though the project failed commercially, many of the concepts he pursued would later become essential to modern wireless communication and global connectivity. For most inventors, this would have been the end of the story. But Tesla never stopped imagining the future. Even as recognition faded and fortunes disappeared, he continued searching for ideas that remained decades ahead of their time. The world may have forgotten him, but history had not. As the years passed, the world celebrated new inventions, new industries, and new innovators. Yet the man whose ideas had helped power the modern age gradually slipped out of the public spotlight. Tesla continued to develop bold concepts, from advanced aircraft to directed energy weapons, but few attracted the financial support he once enjoyed. The visionary who had illuminated the world now worked mostly in silence. In his later years, Tesla found comfort in a simple daily ritual. He spent hours feeding pigeons in New York City's parks, often caring for injured birds himself. To many passers-by, he appeared to be a quiet, elderly gentleman. Few realized they were walking past one of the greatest inventors in history, a man whose ideas had transformed civilization. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla passed away alone in room 3327 of the Hotel New Yorker at the age of 86. There were no grand ceremonies or worldwide headlines that morning. The brilliant mind that had imagined the future decades ahead of its time came to rest in quiet solitude, leaving behind notebooks filled with ideas that continued to spark curiosity. Although Tesla's life ended in relative obscurity, his story did not. Scientists, engineers, and historians gradually began to recognize the extraordinary significance of his work. As the decades passed, the world rediscovered the inventor whose imagination had reached far beyond the limits of his own era. Tesla did not measure success by wealth or fame. He measured it by the future, and in time, that future finally arrived. Every city illuminated at night, every factory powered by electric motors, and every technological breakthrough built upon reliable electrical systems would become part of the legacy he left behind.